And a very good morning to you at 5 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. On this Thursday, June 1st, I have the pleasure of welcoming County Attorney Bridgie Miller into the WPKY studios. How are you this morning?
Good morning, sir, and happy June 1st to each and every one out there, all your listeners with it. And more importantly, what about those Tigers last night?
Tell you what, they set 2 in a row.
Defending second region champions, and they defended well. They're going back, consecutive victories from last year in 2016, 2017, going back to the big dance up at Whitaker Ballpark at Lexington. All of our best to the Caldwell County Tigers, Coach Stallings and the staff, and of course all the players. And let me tell you, we're going to do it. We have done it. We're going to keep on doing it. So go Tigers.
Yes, sir. So glad you mentioned that right off the bat this morning.
That's the only thing I thought I was coming in to talk about, is relevancy on it.
Well, I'll talk baseball. I'll talk baseball with you.
We could
as far as we can
do that. Yeah, and I also want to say, give me a plug to WPKY, to Bob and Jordan, and also you for covering these games on. I don't think you're going to be able to stream it from Lexington on, but you have in the past on it, and so I know you streamed on the All A with it.
Yep.
And local games here in the end. Just thank everyone here at 103.3 The Tiger for what you've been doing on carrying those ball games.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And hey, enjoy a good old-fashioned ball game radio broadcast. That's
exactly on it. Because I still remember. You're not old enough to remember when I was Harry Carey and all those guys or whatever, when I could listen to them on the radio, and it's just good to be able to have that. And again, appreciate Bob and you and Jordan taking care of everything on that. And you all will be there, and I'm assuming, do you have your schedule already set up?
Yeah, they are playing Scott County at 5 p.m. Central Time on Friday. And we will be on hand to bring it to you, and we'll just have to see what happens from there. If we win that game, we will be playing.
When we win that game,
when we'll be playing on that Saturday, the quarterfinals. There are different times for those, and don't have that. There's 11, 1:30, 6, and 8:30. So I figure we'll probably fall somewhere in that early game, depending on. I haven't looked at the bracket this morning.
Well, Bob and you will have a long day Saturday, but it'll be a great day Saturday, though.
It'll be a good day.
And of course, we want everybody to tune in and listen. That you said 5 o'clock Central Time, Scott County, Friday, and it'll be the first opening round for the Tigers.
That is correct.
In the state baseball tournament in Whitaker Bank Field in Lexington, and also let's try to have a good crowd of Caldwell County contingency that'll go up there and be able to follow them and be able to root the Tigers on. So,
yes, sir.
Again, congratulations to them. What I'd like to talk with you about today on some county attorney business, I guess, on it, Ty, is one of the functions I have as county attorney. I have entered into a contract, and I've had it probably ever since I've been county attorney for the past 23 years, something like 24 years, somewhere thereabouts. I have a contract with the state for the collection of delinquent real estate property taxes. And basically what that means is that you pay your real estate property taxes each year when you get your bill to the Caldwell County Sheriff's Office. Well, after a certain time, he turns those over to the county clerk. Okay. When they get to the county clerk, my office then goes into procedures to be able to try to collect some of those taxes with it. And what we do, we send out 2 delinquent tax notices that go out each year, and you should see them in May, and the next set's getting ready to go out, I think, in the next couple of days.
Okay.
And the first set that we sent out was 282, and we're getting ready to send out approximately about 240 on it. And the reason that you have the differences on that, while I hope some of them has been that they've been paid, some of them come back undeliverable as well on it. So, but basically, from what we're looking at, it's roughly about $59,000 to $60,000 outstanding of delinquent property taxes haven't been paid that we're looking at for the past year on it. So we have a very high percentage collection rate of current taxes through the Stan Hudson's office, but also hopefully we're able to do some things as well in my office to be able to help individuals on payment of this. And one program that we set up, and it's changed about 4 or 5 years ago, which has allowed the county attorney to be able to make decisions regarding collection of delinquencies, and also to enter into agreements to be able to allow people to make payments. So, because when you get your tax bill, you go in, you have to pay all of it. You don't pay a portion when you go to the sheriff's. It's all or nothing on it. They don't accept partial payments on it, and that's by law. With me, though, when they get to the delinquencies, I can work out a payment plan, okay? So basically, I can be, coming from your prior history, I can be the banker, I guess, for a period of time. And we set up payment schedules, which allow people, depending upon when you come in, probably not over 4 months, but all of them have to be paid prior to the second sale that we have. And the second sale that we have will be the county clerk sale. And I understand this year that's going to be August 25th. What happens between now and then, the tax agreements that I have set up, our individuals come in and say, let's say that your tax bill is $750, okay? I can come in and say, okay, if you want to make 3 payments of that, 3 into 750 is $250 apiece. You can make those to my office. We can then remit them over to the county clerk's office. And what I like about this, presently we have 16 agreements. We run about 20 each year. But what I like about this with it on it, Ty, is that people are allowed to be able to keep their homes. They don't have the tax lien on their house on it. They'll be able to do that. And let's face it, money is tight when we come into certain situations, but you still have to budget to be able to try to pay for those. But in that situation, allowing people to be able to make monthly payments, it's a lot of work on my office to be able to do this. And when I say that, I'm saying I have to realize how much time Karen Scott in my office devotes to this, because we have to do reports, we have to keep up the money, we have to, do certain things with it, and to work with individuals, which we're glad to do it, okay, to be able to handle this, because, we're first and foremost want to give service to everyone out there and try to help people. But at the same point in time, it's tax dollars. These tax dollars go to fund the organizations, the entities, the services that we have, excuse me, that we have here in Caldwell County to be able to provide for fire protection, service for, law enforcement protection, all the various offices, animal control, county attorney's office, share, just on and on and on, fiscal court operations, road department. So anyway, with that, we're glad to be able to try to help in these situations. But again, I applaud the efforts of my staff, Karen Scott in particular, and also Gabe Patton on the hard work that they do to be able to collect these and making a difference. And that's what we hope we're going to be able to do. What happens is that when they go for sale, August 25th, third parties. Now you have to check.
I'm just going to talk to you about that. Ask you about that.
You have to check with Tony Watson about the particulars. My understanding, I think you have to have some type of registration on this, but I would defer all that to Tony Watson, County Clerk's office, as to what can be done. But anyway, on August 25, they go for third-party sale, where anyone can come in and purchase those, providing you meet certain requirements. That's the case, then that becomes a lien that they hold on your property, and they can be looking at foreclosure procedures on that. And if they're not paid, the county can also, through my office, look at foreclosure procedures as well. So, but, this is sort of like a grace period that we have on that.
Right.
I've always said when a grace period, the acronym in biblical terms, God's riches at Christ's expense. So, this is one of those riches that we're able to have here that, is being provided for us, that we can sort of forestall some things for a third party purchasing, a lien on your property, on your home possibly, but at the same time, we want those paid.
Right.
So with that, it's very important, just be sure, get them paid. That should be a high priority. If not, someone else would. And then let me tell you what happens with that. If someone comes in and purchases that, after a period of time, they can foreclose on that property, and the amount could go up even so much higher. I mean, it could be, you could go from $1 to $3 or $4 that are owed. Give you an example on delinquent or bad checks that were collected through my office. By the time you get fees and costs on there, if you write a check for $1, okay, and by the time you get fees and costs on there, if you go through the court system, whatever, you could be looking at a little less than $300 to pay for a $1 bad check. So it goes up, and that's administrative costs that you're looking at. That's also court costs that you're having on those delinquent property taxes, on the bad checks. But anyway, with those fees, make the plans now to be able to do it. And of course, what I always tell people on bad checks, don't write the bad check to begin with, okay? But secondly, remember that that there's excesses that go with it on it, and with that, it comes money out of your pocket. So in getting back to delinquent property taxes, I say the same thing on this. Let's be sure that we get those paid, comply with the agreements that we have in effect on. And, I feel like it's a great program that we have, and we're glad to be able to do it.
Yeah, and your staff, again, y'all do a fantastic job. And folks, you need to, if you're not able to pay your taxes on time, this is an opportunity for you to do so and maybe bypass some of these potential consequences. I know my experience in banking has been, I've seen what happens when some of these third parties come in and purchase these taxes, and they start accruing interest. And if you go to try to either sell your place, these constitute liens, and they can be quite costly to clean up if you're trying to sell or transfer any kind of ownership.
And, I don't know if banks still do it now or whatever, but I know years ago, I thought one of the best programs that banks did on your mortgage, they'd also escrow the collection of your taxes. While you might be paying more each month, at least you know that that's taken care of.
That's right.
The bank will come in whenever that tax notice comes out. They'll pay it all off because they have escrowed that money that you paid on your mortgage in addition to the amount of the mortgage to be able. Do they still do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's
it's a practice on many. Sometimes they don't, but they practice that on many mortgages.
And I think also insurance as well, don't
Sure.
they? Insurance
Sure.
on home, because I know lending institutions have a requirement that you have to have the property insured.
Yep.
For their security.
No doubt about it.
So, being able to do that, it's very important. But at the same time, I know when someone has a paycheck, W-2 wage earner, you get X amount of dollars, has to go through certain things, but you always have to know at certain times of the year, insurance comes up that you have to pay. Property taxes come up that you have to pay. You need to be, I always call it rat holing some of that money.
Well, a method that we used to suggest sometimes if there was no escrow was to start a Christmas club a certain time of the year.
Yes.
Use your Christmas club because it sort of comes out about the time the tax bills due at most banks in October. And so for folks that don't have an escrow, you could go to your local your local bank and and start a club account. And usually the Christmas clubs, again, they sort of come out the same time the tax bills do. So that's kind of a logical method to save and sort of self-escrow some dollars.
Exactly, to be able to do that. And, even if you think about it, I'm sure you've told people before, and with your line of work, even if you do $10 a week.
Yeah, none of it hurts.
Yeah, how much that accumulates.
Yeah, you can basically take what your tax bill is and divide it by 12 or how many times, and just try to stick as much of that back each and every month. So.
Yeah. But with the delinquent property taxes, I just want everyone to know about the efforts that we're doing, what we're looking at being able to accomplish on that. And again, I give the kudos to my staff as to what they do with it.
Fantastic staff.
I'd like to move to another topic that's probably been making the news a little bit lately on some things, and it's been around for since day one. You probably heard DUI, driving under the influence. Okay, most of the time you think of that as someone got drunk. Okay, you think alcohol, whiskey, beer, whatever like that. They got drunk, out, pulled over, etc. And the developments of the law, then it went to taking, you've heard of a breathalyzer, you blow into the machine, you go to a certain point that when Kentucky started that, it was a .10. Under that, you went from under arguments of under the influence, you went to per se, which means if you have that in your system and you blow above a .10 and you're driving a vehicle or operating a motor vehicle or in physical control of a motor vehicle, then you are under the influence. That's what's called per se. It means it is. You
Right.
are. Okay. Well, then the legislature changed and went down to now it's a .08. Okay, so it's come down with that on. And the penalties are quite harsh on it whenever you look at that, but they're appropriate for what could happen out there. You out there, your wife, children, whatever, out on the highway or whatever like that on. And you have to look at that. It can cost you if someone pleads guilty to a DUI. I know our recommendations, what we look at in every case is different. As my mother used to say, every tub sits on its own bottom with it. A fine of $200, court costs probably about $257. Also, you lose your license for a period of 90 days, and you have to attend a substance abuse counseling class. Now, you add all that up, that doesn't talk about the things that go above the sentencing that you have for someone charged with DUI. Insurance can be impacted, on your motor vehicle.
Sure.
If you don't have a driver's license for 9 days, think about it, Ty, not that you'd ever be in this situation, but if you didn't have a driver's license for 9 days, how are you going to get here to work?
Yeah, would not be good.
Yeah.
It would not be good.
And what it puts on the family. To
Definitely.
Be able to say,
it's a strain.
The strain and stress they have to do that. I say all that to say this. I'm seeing more and more in my staff, and my assistant county attorney is Daley Wilson. Daley does a tremendous job and prosecutes, these cases. From what I'm seeing lately, or more so, is a shift not from, we still get our share of alcohol, but drugs. Okay?
Yeah, and that's harder to detect, isn't it?
That's harder to detect on, and I'm just not talking just about illegal drugs. I'm talking about even legal drugs.
Right.
Anything, what the law says, any type of substance in there that can put you under the influence, and you think about it, you get prescription medication, tells you don't drive, don't, operate heavy equipment.
It might be a Benadryl.
Exactly.
It makes you sleepy.
Exactly. Anything like that. Because, let's think about it. You don't want to get out there. Driving is tough enough when we get there. And when I talk with police officers, they've heard about every excuse. Well, I was on my phone. I was playing with the radio, trying to drink a cup of coffee. You think it's distracting in nature. Well, you need to be focusing, both hands on the wheel, obeying the speed limit, doing what you need to be doing, operating a motor vehicle. But then when you get further along, you also need to be looking at if you put something in your system, ingested in your system, which again could be perfectly legal,
Right.
prescription medication on it. If it can affect you or impair your ability to operate safely that motor vehicle out there, we're seeing more and more of that out there. In addition to the illegal drugs, when we see a lot is marijuana on it, other one that you can see, even harsher type drugs of that nature. So, let's just be careful about, as I tell people before, I know when I talk with Jordan, I always give him, a quiz. Okay, Jordan, what is it? Is driving a right or a privilege? And, he always comes back and says, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
You have to, okay. So, we've been schooled on that with it. And,
Okay.
and that's a good thing. And the reason I was saying with Jordan on it, because I know he will go throughout the day and be able to use that on broadcast, which I hope you can too.
Sure.
Be able to say that, driving's not a right, it's a privilege.
It definitely is that.
You are out on the highway by virtue of being able to take a test, being able to be licensed and sanctioned by the government to allow you to be out there with it. So with that, I would encourage you to be able to say, County Attorney Bridgie Miller says, remember, driving's a privilege, not a right. Be careful out there on it. And, obey the laws, do what the laws tell you to do. They're there for your safety and the safety of others.
We might just make it a PSA, Bridgie.
Sounds good.
So.
Sounds good. I think that was.
Everybody needs to be reminded of that, though. Whether it's wearing a seatbelt, do not text and
Good
drive.
Point. Good point, Ty.
Sitting at these lights. I mean, and I'm guilty of it. I know at times you get, these phones are how we. But I see it and I get mad, but then I find myself sometimes, I don't drive and text. I don't believe in that. But
because that's illegal.
It is illegal. But I can't tell you how many people I see, even, I'll be flying down the interstate and they're looking at their phone or they're at a light.
And now these situations they can even be hands-free.
Yeah.
So you can be talking,
Yeah.
and you're still talking, though, while you're still driving.
Yeah.
You need to be concentrating on something else.
Definitely.
But you're right. It's a lot of distractions are out there, but it's distractible enough just by watching your movements in a vehicle and watching the movements of someone else in their vehicle.
Yeah.
So, just be careful.
Be mindful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Be careful about that on it. So, like that idea, public service announcement.
You never know.
PSA is or whatever.
Yeah, we can cut that right off there.
There you go. Well, and again, I appreciate the radio station doing that because I think that's important to be able to remember, obey the traffic laws, obey the speed, watch out for yourself, watch out for others that are out there as well. Because, even, Ty, and I know you've seen it, and I'm preaching to the choir with it, but even the most minute of impacts that you have.
Sure.
Someone can get hurt.
Yes, sir.
Someone can die on it. Even what we call the old fender bender, the soft tissue injuries that we have. Even the smallest one can do damage. You think about something going even at 30 miles an hour, Ty.
Yeah, people don't realize that's quite an impact.
Until you're involved in it and realize the jarring it can do to you and also how it can affect someone else. And please, please, please watch your kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking about, even I know you and I were talking the other day, I think you've got a 17-year-old
Sure.
Son. He's soon going to be to the legal age of 18 of adulthood on it, but he's still your child. He's
That's
still
right.
your kid on it. And I would even say to teenagers, still tell them about this. Even
Definitely.
though they might know it, still tell them.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. And Another thing that we see too is the child restraints.
Yes, sir.
The and to make sure you properly, from the age of your child, have them in the back, properly restrained in a child restraint seat, because if they're not properly done, that's a disaster, even for those fender benders.
Two points on that. As a grandparent of 5 grandchildren, I've had to learn how the seat goes, when it can be reversed, when it can't be reversed. And now with the laws of Kentucky, when can a child move into the front seat?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through all those schoolings, go through all
Definitely.
those, learn all that to be able to know, because it's there for a reason. And I'd also say this, 2 things, and when you mentioned about the child restraint device, let's remember the weather that we have out there right now gets hot. And if you're traveling with your child, be sure that they're comfortable, and also pets, animals. Remember, don't leave them in the locked vehicle.
Definitely.
As well. I mean,
good reminder for this time of year.
Exactly. They could die on that, and let's not do that. Everybody needs to have water, rehydration on it, so be careful on that. And I'd say the same thing out with the even if you have out on the farm, I own 2 horses on it, and we have to be sure that they're fed, watered, hayed. Be sure that they're okay. Take care of your animals out there, and be sure to watch them.
This mid-80s and higher humidities with the moisture, when we get a little rain, it's pretty unforgiving, and it feels like summertime right now. I did see an extended little bit of forecast where it's going to cool off a little bit in upper 70s next week. We'll enjoy that. But, of course, this weekend is our Pennington Festival down in the Butler
True,
Lawn,
exactly.
and everybody needs to be mindful of that. We've got, the humidity levels will be up, mid-80s. It'll feel warm out there. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, just a slight chance of rain. And Stacy's going to be in here in a few minutes to tell us about the wrap-up of that. But we need to caution everybody about,
Well, and also kudos out, of course, to Eddie Pennington.
Yeah.
His namesake that goes on that, and it should be with what all he has done, and just to realize how important an asset he is to this community, known the worldwide on what
No doubt.
he is able to do and what he's been able to bring here. I've looked at the lineup, and I know Stacy will tell you more about it, but also kudos to Stacy and the committee for the Pennington Festival. I think this is the 20th year they've done this each year on it,
Yep.
and it's just awesome to be able to have that in Princeton.
It surely
what we're
is.
having Princeton, Kentucky, my hometown on it, and to be able to have something of that notoriety here. A lot of people be coming to Princeton. We'll roll out the welcome mat for it. I know that, but also,
Yes, sir.
And the main thing about that, you're getting this entertainment starting Friday all through Saturday on it. Cost you nothing.
Right.
Except a lawn chair. You might want to have to go invest in a lawn chair,
Right.
bring it out there on it or whatever.
Nothing wrong with that.
But it's not going to cost you anything for the price of admission, other than be ready to listen to some awesome music.
And top dollar entertainment. Can't thank you enough, sir, for what you do for our county. You're here every first Thursday of the month. You continue to have that forum. We want you to have it, and we look forward to it each and every month.
But now you're getting rid of me. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not segueing now. Not at all.
Your next guest is coming in. Is now are you getting rid of me?
You got it for as long as you want, sir.
I'm kidding you, of course, but now Stacy's getting ready to come in, and I would ask everybody to.
You can stick around.
Well, I'll get in the car and tell you. How about that? I have to get to the office, but anyway, I would encourage everyone to listen to Stacy and you about the upcoming events that we're going to be having here and with the Pennington Festival, and that's going to be awesome. And again, Ty, thank you for what you're doing, the shot in the arm that you've given to this community, what you've done. I know you're always been a radio man or frustrated radio man or whatever through the years on stuff, but it's good to see the level of expertise you bring to this, and also be able to see what you have done and continue to do.
Appreciate the support as always, and we're the home. We want to be the hometown community radio station. That's the first and foremost. These are the public's airwaves. We're stewards of them. So
exactly.
This is everybody's radio station here in this community.
Well,
so that's the way we want
to.
The
Tiger and I know the McNanny's uses. Look at it as being that we're here to serve, we're here to help on it, and that's what we want to do to be able to get the message out there, and that's just awesome to be able to.
And appreciate your support on that.
Thank you.
Thank
Always
you.
good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, and it cooled off in here. Maybe I'll have the proper greeting the next time.
What we were talking about is when I came in, that Ty was running around and saying, "Oh, it's not cool enough. It's not. I've got to get this on." Worried about my comfort, whatever. I said, "Look, Ty, I'm like you. I wear a suit every day. Okay, this is no problem. Don't worry about it, my friend." So anyway, but I appreciate that. And again, always good to see you, Ty.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Always good to see you, and you will be back at the first Thursday of July.
And another thing I want to mention on this past Monday.
Yes,
you
sir.
were there. Radio station was
Yes.
there. The American Legion, the VFW, the Memorial Day service that we had from the steps of the courthouse. And I always tell people how awesome that is to be able to have a service like that on the steps of local county government, the courthouse, Caldwell County Courthouse here in Princeton, Kentucky. And I appreciate WPKY being here covering that on. I appreciate you all being here. That is what these communities are about, and to be able to do that. And I definitely
and a great crowd this year.
I've done this for probably 15, 20 years at these services on it, and I have to say I believe this was probably the largest crowd that we had.
And hearing that
awesome.
Taps play, and then Miss Dot McConnell leading us in God Bless America was fantastic. And then
Awesome.
Just can't say enough.
Well, and of course Memorial Day is predicated upon remembering those that served our country.
Right.
You know, all gave some gave all.
Gave that sacrifice.
And we've had several, I think, from this community that died in Vietnam, you know, and to remember them, to remember the World War II, and also to look out there. There was a couple World War II veterans that we had out there as well on it, and to be able to see them out there, they're still living, but to be honor those that are not there, that lost their life in these wars with it, and also Vietnam, and all of them. Anyway, thank y'all for being there.
And thank you for doing that as well. You've been a mainstay of that ceremony for several years now, so thank you as well.
God is good all the time, so and I appreciate him allowing me to be able to do that.
You have a wonderful day, and we will see you next month. Bridgie Miller, County Attorney, and we appreciate your efforts here in our county and what you do. So thank you, sir, for being here.
Ty,
all right, have a great day. All right.